We're back out here at the Big Lake once again, and today we're talking about a proven method that just works so well for catching those fall bass, especially after a really chilly night. Stick around, you don't want to miss this one.
There we go, I got him. Oh, that feels good. That feels pretty good, kids. Stay down. Stay down.
And here is this video's featured comment. Congratulations! If you would like to have a chance to have your comment featured in an upcoming video, all you've got to do is leave a comment. And now, on with the video. Welcome back to Lowbrow Fishing, and even for us here in South Mississippi, it's gotten a lot cooler. Last night it actually got down to 47 degrees, and for us that is exceptionally cool, especially for early October. Usually we're still in the 70s at night and in the lower 90s during the day. But, you know, anomalies happen. But this can mess up the fishing. That's the problem. Sometimes when we get a really cold night, well, it can just throw those fish off, especially if you're having like a really good run. And lately, I've been having a really good run, especially on topwater. The topwater bite has been amazing. But just because we had a really cold night, that doesn't mean that I'm going to put my topwater rods down. To the contrary, I'm going to keep that topwater rod in my hand and continue to use it as a search bait. However, I am going to alter what it is that I'm doing. I can still find the bass, and they might seem a little bit lethargic, but you can get them to bite. You can trick them to bite using their own triggering mechanisms against them. You know that bass, they want to strike things. You can get that reaction strike even when they're not hungry. And topwater is another great way to do that. They will strike at topwater, especially something like a walking bait or a popper or a prop bait. They will strike at something like that even when they're not hungry. So taking advantage of that bass behavior is exactly what I was doing today. Now, for the most part today, I'm using something like this devil's horse here, right? And yes, this is my father-in-law's, but this is a newer type of devil's horse. This is still, you know, it's still made out of balsa, and it's still exceptionally effective out on the water. I was also using that Bone Spook Junior, and between the two of them, I was able to get some really nice blow-ups. But unfortunately, the bad part about it is they were slapping at it. And that happens a lot in the fall, even when the bite is good. Even when you're having a good bite, they can slap at it because of how bass attack baits in the fall. They're ramming them. They're slapping at them. They're not going at them with their mouth. And that's no exception with a topwater. So you see that topwater blow up, you go to set the hook, there's nothing there. That's common.
All right, we have the old devil's horse tied on from my father-in-law's tackle box. Now this is the newer one. I don't want to risk one of those older ones just yet. So I'm going to try this new one. So they're kind of slapping at that spook. So I kind of want to try the devil's horse for a minute. Got him! Oh no, I missed him. That was pretty quick though. They're slapping at it, and they're here. I'm going to try that again. That didn't take long, did it? Now we're getting blown to this bank. Yeah. God, ooh, I had two of them chase it in. I wasn't even paying attention. Two of them chased it in. Ooh, two little bitty ones.
But the important thing is to be able to follow it right back up. And for me, I'm using a lightly weighted or a weightless fluke soft plastic jerkbait, Texas rigged. That's what's been working well for me. And the reason why I'm doing that is because this is going to imitate something that just got smacked by a bass. It's going to imitate that stunned shad or other type of bait fish, right? So if I get a blow up on a topwater and there's nothing there and I miss it, well, I'm following it right back with this. A lot of times, that top water's still in the water. I mean, I just set that rod down, pick this up immediately, and I throw it out there. And you'd be surprised at how often you can pick off that fish. It's actually remarkable. I mean, I get bit so many times. It's like whenever we were talking about recently with the jerkbait bite, you know, as I was looking for those blow ups, I would see those bass blowing up on the water. And when I did, I threw that hard jerkbait in there and I was able to catch so many fish doing that. Well, now we're creating our own blow-ups using top water. We get that blow up with the top water and then boom, we fire that bait, that follow-up bait right back in there. And I'm telling you, that method has caught so many fish for me, especially this year and especially today. If I didn't have that method, if I didn't know about that method, well, today would have been a complete wash. I probably would have gotten skunked except for maybe 2 small bass. So, but that's another thing. We're going to be talking about that in just a second because we're going to get into where I was finding them to begin with. Because, you know, I can throw topwater all day long, but if there's no bass in the area, you know, nothing's going to blow up on it. You know, I mean, a bluegill might blow up on it, but we're looking for bass. So, as you've heard me say here recently, I'm looking for the sunny side of the bank. But today, I wasn't just looking for the sunny side of the bank. We had exceptionally cold weather last night, and that's kind of a shock to the system to those fish. Usually, it's going to take several nights of cooler weather before the bass will even notice. But when that temperature drops 30 degrees in one night and stays that way all night long, those bass notice. And a lot of times it can turn that bite right off. So I'm looking for that sunny exposed bank. And I'm also looking for shallow water. So today I was looking for shallow grass flats that were right along the bank. That's where I was going to be doing most of my damage because those fish had moved up right to the edge of those to warm themselves. And earlier today, to prove that point, I actually took this out. Good old wacky rig, right? And right there along the bank, well, this is exactly what happened.
Okay, we've got a brown worm and a wacky rig tied on. And I'm just seeing something here. This is just me spitballing. But I got a feeling those fish may be hugging the bank a little bit. Ooh, there we go, I got him. Right off the bat. First cast, little bitty guy. Little bitty guy. I hope you didn't choke it. You did not. But a little bitty bass on the wacky rig. Very first cast. Half pounder, little squeak. Buddy, I'm up. Well, I was gonna let you go. Now you gotta fall and break your ribs. Come on now. Little squeaker. There he goes. All right, very first cast. Okay, that is interesting. That is telling.
Okay, caught a squeaker right off the bat. Tied on the wacky rig, threw it out there, and right off the bat I caught a squeaker. It was a little bitty fish, but more importantly, it was information. Anything that happens to us when we're out on the water is information that we need to use, that we need to process and use it towards catching more fish. And that's what I did. So if that little squeaker was up near the bank sunning itself, then chances are bigger fish were up near the bank sunning themselves. So that's when I started to really get to work with the topwater. Like I said, I don't have electronics on that little boat out there. So my best way of knowing where those bass are is when they show themselves to me, when they make themselves known and they blow up. That's the best way to do that. I mean, there's no denying that a blow up, you see that right there. That's obviously a fish. So topwater generates those blow ups. That's what we want to do. There's no mistaking that. You get that blow up, you know there's a fish. So immediately go right back in there. If you miss that blow up, you go right back in with a follow-up bait. For me, something like this works great. For you, a regular hard jerk bait may work, you know, or a lipless crank, you know, something small, a worm, a Ned rig, a crawl, whatever works for you. But for me, that soft plastic jerkbait is the deal. Now, a hard jerkbait sometimes, but that bite is kind of, we're in a window right now on the big lake where the soft jerkbait bite is doing better than the hard jerkbait bite. So that's kind of what I'm doing. As the winter picks up, that will swap back around. You know, it happens. But the point is, create your own blowups. That's the method. That's what I'm trying to get you to, you know, impart from this video. That's what I want you to take away, is use the topwater, create your own blowups, visually see the fish, throw back in there with a follow-up bait. Don't wait. You know, a lot of times, like I said, I'm leaving that bait in the water, I'm picking it up and I'm throwing it in there. If you have somebody that's with you, you know, maybe they can hand you that backup rod that you can go right in there, because the quicker you can get in there, usually the better chances you have of catching that fish. And like I said, it has been a game changer for me. I've been able to catch so many fish doing that, and I know that you will too. So let's go out on the water, and I'm going to show you exactly the type of sunny bank that I'm looking at, what I'm looking for as far as flat water tapering out to deep water, the structure that's close by, the cover that's close by, and how I'm going to work that bank once I decide I'm going to start working it. So let's head on the water and I'll show you.
Okay, well, this is exactly what I'm talking about. We've got brush, flooded brush here, plus we've got that lay down log right there, and we've got little pockets and crannies, but it's all on the sunny side. This is the perfect type of place that I'm going to be looking for on a fall day. Now, today I'm going to be fishing it with something like this, a little old head and baby torpedo, right? A popper would work, a whopper plopper might work, a buzzbait might work, but I'm going to try to pick it apart with top water. And then I'm going to come back through and work it with something like a weightless fluke or a wacky rig, you know. And this is the type of place I've been doing really good lately. And I really like this baby torpedo because I can work it like that. I can give it a couple of quick pops and then kind of kill it. You know, think of it as an old school whopper plopper. But I can kill it and then I can just do like that as well. And just crank it back to me like a buzzbait. So we're going to kind of make some banks, you know. So we're going to just kind of make some casts up and down this bank. You know, and if we get blown up on, I'm going to come right behind it with this. This is going to be my follow-up bait. So when you're working topwater, especially in the fall, you've got to have a follow-up bait. Because those bass, like we said, like we've been talking about, they're going to slap at it because they're trying to stun it. You're going to miss a lot of hookups. You know, you will miss a lot of hookups, but at the same time, you can follow up with something like a fluke, or, you know, just whatever your preference is. A jerkbait is another one, well, a hard jerkbait, I guess. You know, something that's going to resemble what it is that those bass were just slapping at.
So there you have it. A proven and effective method that just works for catching those sluggish fish in the fall, especially after a really cool night. Use topwater to create your own blowups, and if you miss that blowup, fire right back in there with a follow-up bait. And I'm telling you, you will be amazed at how many times you can land that fish. Or at the very least, you can get it to bite, and you can definitely increase your chances of bringing that fish to the boat or to the bank. Thanks for watching Lowbrow Fishing. We'll catch you in the next one.